Hi, my name is Andrew Luwani, and this is how I try to figure out what college is best for me. Looking for the right college is probably one of the hardest things I have ever done. I have looked at so many different colleges. It's just gotten to the point where I just want to say, I picked a school and I'm going there.
I remember the day my mom took me to the airport, and I was kind of in that state, like, oh my gosh, I've done so many college visits, and I'm going to Virginia to actually look at a college that I actually really enjoy, or at least what I found online. A lot of people always ask me, like, hey, like, is flying scary? And I'm just like, no, it's actually a really fun experience, but this time was sort of different feeling. I mean, what if I didn't like this college? It was kind of a scary thought. The next time I actually got to look out my window, I realized we were finally in Detroit, and it was just freezing cold.
After sitting down in the airport and getting off of my first flight, it kind of sat in with me that this wasn't just another trip to see my dad. This was a trip to basically determine if I'm going to the nation's capital to go to college.
When I was walking around the Detroit airport by myself, it was an uneasy feeling. Even though I've done it so many times before, it's just never a comfortable feeling. And I realized at that point, if I'm going to go to a bigger school with a huge city, I'm going to have to get used to this feeling where everyone's running around, feeling busy, and I don't know. It's just weird to have to adjust myself to my new surroundings. As I was boarding the plane, I was just really hoping that this would be the right college for me.
When I got on my plane, I met this guy named Anthony who actually sat next to me on the plane, and he had this great advice about college. And he was telling me in our long, in-depth conversations on the flight, he was saying, well, if you want to do something in life, just don't let anyone stop you.
When I finally landed in DC, I started thinking about all the factors that led me here. I mean, college can be a lot of money, and I don't really want to spend all my money in a place where I don't feel happy.
After the long flight with lots of crying babies and just a mind-boggling thought of college, I finally was able to meet up with my dad, and he was just so excited to see me. He was dad.
I don't get to see my dad too often, so it's always a great feeling when I'm back with him. I mean, he always plans some sort of activity or something when I come, and him and his girlfriend were just harassing each other in the car. And it was funny just to sit in the car and listen to the two of them, and I miss both of them so much.
On the way in the car to my dad's house, he actually told me, like, hey, we're gonna go to the movies tonight.
And of course, I was right. He planned this activity at this movie theater, and the area was just so great. And I really thought to myself, I could kind of picture myself being here. Everyone around was just so full of energy, and just the whole atmosphere of the city, it was breathtaking. And I thought to myself, I'm really thinking I'm wanting to go here.
I remember the next day we actually spent some time with some of my relatives.
I got to see some of my family members, and my uncle, my dad, and I actually went to a community center in the area.
Very small.
And my uncle just have a good time, we'll relax. So we ended up heading out there, and it was a funny thing because I got to see my dad and my uncle play ping pong, which literally made me laugh so hard. But my cousin ended up coming, and she had some great advice about college too.
Yes, it is.
What are we talking? Are you going to ask me questions, or am I just talking?
You can just keep talking.
No, I don't do that. I'm not very good at that. Oh, I remember my first day of school, actually, when my family dropped me off. And my mom gave me a book. It was the Ellen book, and these almonds that I really liked. And I remember everybody was like, sentimental and, you know, doing that whole.
I don't want that part.
Yeah.
The sentimental.
Yeah, that was. But it was really funny. It was the most simple words, but the one thing that my brother whispered in my ear is just be yourself. And for some reason, maybe it was just the last words I heard as they were like, you know, as they were leaving. But that those simple things really made a difference, you know. And I just tried to stay true to who I am, or at least maybe be who I wanted to always be, you know, and let that come out. So I kind of use those words to guide me.
Sometimes I wish, you know, I went to a different school. I will be honest about that. I can't say that this was the perfect school for me. I do love the people that I met.
It was just such a great time spending with my family that day, helping them out, and it made me realize, like, if anything were to ever be there that would go wrong, they'd always be there for me. It was finally college visit day, and I was so excited. And I woke up out of bed, just like, yes, finally! Like, I've been waiting so long to see this college.
My dad, Sydney, and I actually headed up to college that day, and just driving up around the campus, I felt so safe and secure in the neighborhoods. It was like another factor that said, yes, I want to go to this college already. And stepping foot on the campus, it's that feeling like I absolutely fit in here, and I feel so secure. And they welcomed me on this flat screen TV, which is really cool. And my student ambassador actually took me to class, and it was a communications and theory about the world today, and the professor was just so phenomenal with all of her work, and her presentation was incredible. And this girl named Katie had to actually leave me around later because my ambassador had to go, but she was able to like shed her thoughts about all the activities and information about AU. And my friend Jackson, I met him in the bookstore. He was just able to say, like, this school has so many opportunities.
I remember getting to the campus and I saw all these clubs and activities and sports, and I was seriously just like so caught up in everything.
Having the opportunity to take a tour of the campus was just a great experience where I was just so head over heels for college, and I was falling in love every single footstep. And I got to see the communications department they were redoing, and I was just like having my jaw drop everywhere I went because I was just so in awe. All their facilities were up to date, and I felt like I would really excel at this college. I mean, every single part of the college itself fit what I wanted to see in a college of my dreams. And like, just more I thought about it, it's like, oh really, I really want to know when I'm going to be accepted to this college already. I can't wait to dive into my major and get some great things done. And just hearing about all the activities on campus, like going into the broadcast station and working on the newspaper with all these other people, it was just so phenomenal.
I remember sitting at the campus center, and I was filling out some more paperwork just to make sure I had everything in for my application, and they told me, you applied for this one college, an early decision, right? And I was like, yeah. And they said, well, you're trying to apply early decision with us. Is that also correct? And I said, is there something wrong with that? And it turns out that you can't actually legally do that. Campus told me at that time that they couldn't process my application. The way home was just one big mind-boggling experience. I was making phone calls to my representative on one side for this college and my other representative, and they were talking together, and I just didn't know what was going to happen.
My dad actually took me to where he worked that night to try and actually take my mind off of college a little bit. I know he's worked for Hilton Worldwide for the longest time as a product improvement manager, but seeing his space with all the pictures of my brother and I kind of made me feel like this was a little bit of bonding time with my dad that I hadn't had in a long time.
When I left my dad and he was saying bye, he said, just, if it works out, it works out. And I just don't want you to stress yourself over this.
The next day was back to traveling, and I was making those phone calls again, and I was able to actually reach an agreement between both colleges, and it turns out that I made an agreement with both, an early decision, so I ended up dropping the one college, and I won't know from American until late March, and it's a long time.
at this point, I'm hoping to hear back from the college because I know that's truly where my heart is and it's where I want to go.
Tu ne veux pas partir quand tu vas